Hello all, this is Brian with Vermillion Enterprises, and we are located at 5324 Spring Hill Drive in sunny Spring Hill, Florida. It's not so sunny today, a little bit of rain out there until lunchtime, I'm thinking. Hopefully that clears up soon. So a lot of people coming into the shop recently have been asking me about what I think about bail-ins. Is bail-ins, is that a real thing? And so I thought maybe I'd make a little YouTube video about this. First though, let me say I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving financial advice here. I'm just giving my opinion on what I know about the situation. All right, so in 2008, housing market collapses. Banks get brutalized to their own doing because they're writing all these unwise loans out to people who were borrowing money to buy houses that they, in some cases, really couldn't afford. So here comes the term too big to fail, right? And so these big banks are facing going under. Congress swoops in and allocates something like $700 billion worth of taxpayer funds to prevent these banks from going under. And some of the banks like Chase and Wells Fargo, they got upwards of like $25 billion worth of taxpayer relief. Now, a lot of that money, if not all of it, was eventually paid back to the government. I'm not sure what the exact returns were, so it wasn't like it was just a total taxpayer loss. But it really put a pinch on the taxpayers at the beginning of it, and to the point where they were basically telling their congressmen, hey, don't do this. We're not happy with you. We don't want you giving taxpayer dollars away to billion-dollar companies and trillion-dollar companies when they should be able to cover this on their own. So Congress is like, okay, we hear you. We're going to come up with a new plan. And we're no longer going to do bailouts. We're going to do something called a bail-in. And a bail-in, this is a real piece of legislation. It's called the Dodd-Frank Act is what I always call it for, but its full name is the Dodd-Frank Wall Street and Consumer Protection Act. And so what is that? Basically, there's a lot that goes into it, but basically the crux of it is, it says that it is legal now for the banks when they come under financial stress, like real financial stress, like what happened in 2008 through 2010, is they can go through and they can access the funds, the deposits that their consumers, their customers have put into their bank accounts and use that to keep them solvent. And so if you have, let's say, $350,000 in your bank account, well, now it's legal for, let's say, Wells Fargo or Chase or your bank, whoever it may be, to access $100,000 of that to keep themselves solvent in a time of economic trouble. Because they can't go over, they have to leave at least $250,000 in the account per the law, because FDIC insures the $250,000 in everybody's account. So, but anything after 250 grand is really fair game. And that's just not your savings and checking account. That's your pension. That's certain annuities. That's your IRA. That's your 401k. All these things that your bank, all these accounts that your bank is in charge of and controls, it has access to if your balances exceed 250k. And that's a real thing. That's legal. That's the whole Dodd-Frank Act in a nutshell. And so at the end of the day, there will never be another bailout situation in this country for the banks. It will only be bail-in. The Congress is never going to bail them out again, because they've gotten themselves, they've taken the blame off of them, they've put it onto the banks now. And it's kind of a funny situation is the taxpayers are the ones that complain to the Congress. Well, okay, so now Congress isn't going to take the blame anymore, but still the taxpayers are going to foot the bill, right? Because the taxpayers are the ones who are putting these deposits into these banks. And so taxpayers are the ones with the money, so they're the accounts that are going to get raided. Now, is that fair? A lot of people would say no, right? And this is not a Republican thing. This is not a Democrat thing. This is just a political thing that has moved forward because Congress doesn't want to take the blame for bailing out large companies anymore. This was a unified approach. So, has there been any real world examples of this? Not in the states that I know of, but in 2013, this exact situation did happen in Cyprus. Cyprus went through economic collapse. The banks, they raided the accounts of their customers, and there, instead of $250,000, it's 100,000 euros. So any accounts that had over $100,000 euros, more than $100,000 euros, they were raided and brought down to where they had $100,000 euros account balance. And that was literally overnight. There was no heads up, hey, there's no word doing this. This was done pretty much overnight. So you wake up, you go to bed and you got 500,000 euros in your account. You wake up, well, you got 100,000 euros. And so what's the compensation? So the compensation is, and this is by law, this is in Europe and also with the Dodd-Frank Act here in the States, is the bank can then give you, or I don't know if they're mandated, but they can give you stock in the bank as compensation for your the money that they just took out of your account, and that's totally 100% legal. And so does that sound like a great idea? Hey, our bank's failing, we're taking your money, but hey, here's some stock to compensate for it. If it's Wells Fargo or Chase or Goldman, it's probably not such a bad deal at the end of the day, because you know those banks are going to rebound just like they did in 08. So those stocks will, they're probably worth very little at that time, but they will come back. I mean, I bought Bank of America stock at 8 and sold it at, I think it was 23. So, I mean, you can play that game and do well with it during those times, but at the same time, no one wants their money just taken from them, especially by billionaires, right? So, so in real life, yes, this has happened. It's happened in Cyprus, not to my knowledge in the United States yet, but I'm not sure either. It's definitely not by the big banks. Maybe the smaller banks here or there may have done that, but totally legal now. So how do you protect yourself from being a victim of a bail-in? Well, the first thing is if you have money over $250,000, have it in multiple banks, right? So have it in multiple accounts. Have accounts with Wells Fargo, have it with Cadence, have it with Regions, Chase, Citigroup, whoever. Have as many accounts as you can, spread it out, because they can't, during a bail-in, access accounts that have $250,000 or less. It's only accounts that have 250 grand or more in it. Two is, do your research on the banks. Do they look like they are? Do they look like they're solvent? Do they carry a lot of legacy debt? If they look like a healthy organization, invest with them. Invest with them with confidence. This message definitely is an anti-bank. We all need the banks to be successful and stay in existence. Banks have wised up to the fact that they know they were lending out and giving these crummy loans. They know not to do this anymore. They know it's not in their best interest. Legally, they can't do a lot of that anymore either. I'm friends with some of the managers of banks here in town. They're only leveraging assets at 60% of value now here locally. So they're preparing themselves for the next huge drop, and they will fare a lot better next time. It's not as easy to get money out of the bank in a way of a loan as it used to be, especially of any real size. So they're protecting themselves. So and which in turn protects you as the customer. But at the end of the day, they can still raid your account in certain instances. So what's the third way to protect yourself? The old saying is never more true than it is today. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So this is the third way you can protect yourself. Own physical gold. And we always recommend buying gold eagles. And this is a way to take out and hold your physical cash in a way of a precious metal that will always intrinsically be of value. And I recommend gold over silver if it's going to become a significant amount of money, because it's just easier to store, and silver has a lot more contract manipulation than gold does. So, one thing I always suggest is don't store it in the bank, of course. Don't put it in the safety deposit box. Put it somewhere else that's more secure, and don't tell anybody about it. But the old saying, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, is very true. That's why I never recommend people using depositories or safety deposit boxes, because if the keys turn, if the lock's turned on the door of the bank or the depository, you're just not getting it. It doesn't matter whether it's sitting in there and it's not being touched or not. You're just not getting it and accessing it. So you don't own it. So it's whoever has access to it owns it. So that's why I physically hold your money, whether that's cash, whether that's gold, that's silver. Land is another great investment right now, as it always has been. So I just want to give you a little bit of a opinion piece about what I think about bail-ins and bailouts, and the reality that the next economic collapse here in the country, it will not be a bailout situation. It'll be your actual deposits that will be keeping the banks afloat in the way of a bail-in. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving any kind of advice. I'm not saying run out to the banks and take all your money out. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what the reality is during the next economic collapse. And that is why so many people are rushing to precious metals like gold and palladium and silver right now, and buying tremendous amounts of land. These big corporations, you see, they are, Bill Gates specifically, they're buying up tons and tons of land, especially farmland, because they know it's a safe place to put their money. It's they're not, they're definitely not idiots, and they want to diversify as much as they can too. So if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add to the conversation, please list it in the comments below on the video here. And like always, guys, like and subscribe to our channel. We got a giveaway going on right now for we're trying to get to the 1,500 subscriber level. Once we hit that level, we're going to give away a free MS-70 Libertad, silver Libertad, as shown in the video pinned to the top of our channel. If there's any questions you have for us, please reach out to us. We're insanely busy right now, but we're trying to respond as quickly as we can to everybody's questions and comments. And like I said, if you want to add to the conversation, please do so in the comments below. And if you want to buy anything, stop on into the shop or sell. We're always buying and selling. And we can ship throughout the country. We take payment via cash, Zelle, or a wire transfer. If you have anything you want to talk with, give us a call. I'm Brian at Vermillion Enterprises, 5324 Spring Hill Drive in sunny Spring Hill, Florida. Thank you.